Hey,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. I'm
Awesome,
excited.
awesome. Good to have you here. Thanks for coming by.
Thank
Let
you.
me let me go ahead and put this on. Show the slide here. Well, how's your week? Did you hear me? How was your week or weekend? Do we say now? This is your
At
past
least
1 week.
I think I'm alive. Not I think. Um,
I know that you are alive. I don't know which other
only
life you're
do,
talking
you
about.
can only do exploits if you are alive. To be honest,
Absolutely,
you can't be
absolutely.
rich. You can't be rich in the grave.
Absolutely. 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 Good, good, good. Yeah, we'll talk some more. I know you've been feeling the dynamic effect of the stock market. Still looking for bottom somewhere with Russia, Ukraine. That's just the reality of the market. But so that's why you cannot be emotional about the market. If you're emotional about the market, you're gonna lose so much money. Get each time you move, there are tax implications that go with it, you know. So, uh, but where the money is in the market is a belief that the market is a perfect market and that the market is cyclical. If you can believe in the cyclical nature of the market, it will make you money. But we'll talk more about that some other time. Let's go ahead and face what we're here. Uh, So we're reading a book. This is the last chapter in part 4. Then we'll go on to part 5, which is the last part of the book. So we should be done with the book on or before the end of March. So we're asking ourselves, which book should we move on to after that? I'm leaning more towards the finance book, even though I've not read it. I have a few more books that are in my home in Houston, which I need to find a way of getting here. That the finance book seems to be the more interesting one for me because I get to talk about something I love talking about, which is money. You know, so unless any one of you has something against it, I'm going to be moving towards us reading this Cleopatra's Riches afterward, done with the one we're on right now. So if you have any objection, you have a better book, let me know.
I seems to be in sync with your suggestion. Just that the difficulty I've been having. I've even met all those guys that hawk books on the road here in Lagos to see if they get the road. I couldn't get a copy. What I'm saying, a digital copy.
A digital copy of it.
Yes, I didn't get a digital copy. Even the guys I will always provide it. So push come to shove, I'll look at somebody that's coming and see whether the person can get one for me. Because what I was looking at, if I could get it here in Lagos, it's gonna be faster and cheaper for me.
Yeah. All right. Or if I see anyone coming also that I might be able to, I'll let you know.
Good.
All right. Thanks. God bless. Well, let's go into, so we're looking at chapter 12 today, the last part of book 4, and it starts with this quote by Stephen Covey. It says, the last analysis, which what we are communicates more eloquently than anything we say or do, right? So it's not as much when it comes to communication and relationship with human beings as a whole. Before we ever open our mouth, when they give that category division as to our communication, the least way of communicating is with words, right? Most of what would say that people receive from us, the least of it is words, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? We will think that our words will carry a lot more weight, but they don't. Ever before we open our mouth, people size us up. We emit who we are as persons. And before a person opens his mouth, you have already received the message by what the person is emitting. There's a spirit, there's a spirit, there's a message that comes from the way the person is dressed, the way the person is groomed, the way the person is working, the confidence in the work or the lack thereof, whether the person is jovial, not jovial, smiling, not smiling. Those carry a whole lot of weight and determine what words that the person that is hearing you hear from you. Actually, experiment has been done such that what people see changes what a person is saying to them. So if what your carriage is saying green and your words are saying red, what the other person is hearing is green, not red, even though red is what you are saying. Because our vision in the level of communication has a higher hierarchy than our audio, right? Vision has a higher hierarchy in communication, receiving, perception than audio. And what a person sees can actually change what he's hearing, even though what the where it's coming from is saying something different. What the receiver is hearing is entirely different from what is said because your brain has changed that word by what your brain is saying. I don't know if I'm being clear. Do you get what the picture I'm trying to paint?
No, come again. I was kind of divided.
All right, there's that general saying, what would say that what I see or what I see is so loud that I cannot hear what you are saying, right? What you show, what you exhibit as a person, as a communicator, takes a higher hierarchy to what you are saying. Your perception, your body carriage, your gesticulation, your general your general dexterity carries a lot more weight than what you say.
I think I get it better now. Simply put, action speaks louder than voice.
Absolutely.
Say something, do something different. So, and what we do is what people see. It's easier for people to practicalize what they see than what they hear.
Absolutely. It all goes in that. So it's like I'm giving a message that is a sad story and I'm laughing. I'm talking about a sad story and I'm laughing. What do you expect the audience to do? They're going to be confused.
Yeah, and also not take the speaker seriously.
Yes, because so what are we doing here? So, and that's very critical in communication, that to be able to get your message, the real message you want to get across accurately, you need to make sure that your action, your disposition, your facial expression, all of that match the words you are saying. Because if they don't, you will think you have passed the message, but you have not. Because what you plan to say and what you are saying is different from what the people are hearing. Right? So, and that's what Stephen Covey is just trying to say here. It says in the last analysis, what we have, our person communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. Right? Who we are as a person communicates far more than what we say, right? Or what we try to act, as it were, So there are some people that, I get surprised, I listen to some people that wonder why they have so much large following, because whatever they are saying is so empty. But you see, people have already accepted their person, so that irrespective of what they are saying, they are not even listening to what they are saying. Is that person that they have received, that they, even no matter what that person says, in their mind it is good, because they have already fallen in love with the person. You get the picture I'm trying to paint there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so when it comes to communication, if you truly want to be a very good communication, a communicator. You know, you have to let there be a congruency between who you are as a person and the kind of message you're trying to communicate. Because people cannot separate the two of them. Once a person sees you and they've already known you as this, and you start saying something different from what they know you as, it's difficult for them to receive the message you're trying to communicate. You know, once they have already marked you out as something else different from what you're trying to say. You know, so, but that all comes from experience as we go along. So here we're just trying to use the word here, ought Mike, to just talk about uncomfortable situations and circumstances, right? When you are trying to communicate, right? And use it as using the parallel as to when they do productions. You know, we've had several incidents of people leaving the mic on, and those speaking thought that the mic was off, and they've ended up recording a lot of terrible things, you know, that people thought was private to themselves, but because the mic was on, it got recorded and people heard about it. You know, people have lost jobs, lost credibility, you know, because of things like that, you know. So yeah, so but just using that as an example, you know, as to things we can get ethos as we do get to communicate. Hey Han, how are you?
Good, good.
Good to have you. You have all recovered, huh?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. I can sound it in your voice.
Yeah, so
Good to have you back. Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're just sharing in chapter 12 today. Just pretty much just talking about how to handle circumstances that are unplanned for when you're communicating. Excuse me. So we're just going up to slide 5 here. So one of the things, you know, one of the probably most important thing when it comes to dealing with human beings or dealing in public in general is being authentic, right? If you're not authentic, you will not be able to bless people. You will not be able to be an effective communicator. And one example comes to mind for me as I was thinking about authenticity. You see, I went into university as a Christian. So I lived all my life in university as a Christian, right? So all the people that were with me in university saw me as a Christian, right? And a lot of them today are born again, pastors, because of the life they saw me live, right? I didn't know at that point in time, but as we discussed today, all of them are referencing, oh, this, that. I have no clue what it was that they saw, right? Until that they are the ones telling me today. So the challenge now is for me. I lived my life just being me when my life impacted them. You know, there's a temptation for me now to be more careful to they're not Christian. Let me show them an example. Oh. And being extra careful means I'm going to just now try to be something I'm not, you know? So I have to just make a decision for myself, right? Whatever it was that God used my life to bless them with is between them and God. It has nothing to do with me, right? I just lead my life. Now, I'm not going to now sacrifice my life trying to now use my power to bless them. I'm just going to be me, right? Me at my level of work with God. So you see me there, I don't try to play spiritual or religious, you know, I just be me, you know, and I don't know how much that is affecting or not affecting some of them, but I'm just me, Christian child of God, not trying to use my own power to influence anybody, but just living my life before God as who I am. I don't know, does that make any sense to you? And does that make any sense to you? Do you understand what I'm trying to portray?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I could be amongst them, being like, Pastor, oh, be careful what I say, being gentle. No, I go there. Anybody that crosses me, I abuse the person. Right? I've had time of abusing. You know, I joke a lot. You know, But for as long as I do that, and I'm doing it within my conscience being right before God, now it's up to God. For as long as my relationship with God is right, I'm not trying to do anything in my power. I'm not trying to be who I'm not, right? I'm trying to be who I am before God. So anywhere they meet me, they'll meet the same person. They will not meet someone that is trying to be a clown or a masquerade, right? So, and that affects us, and for me, I have to be myself in several places. I'm on Facebook, social media. I'm relating with people I probably never meet in my whole life. I'm relating with people all over the world, right? I'm relating with people in the Caribbean, South Africa, all over the world, right? And I can only play a part for so long. My real self will show off. So it's easier for me, less stressful just to be me, right? And leave the impact to God, right? I be me, sincere me as a child of God, And we need to find what that is.
When you
You
finish,
say what? All right. Yeah. All right. And each of us need to find that place for us, right? We need to live authentic lives, right? It's our conscience before God, conscience before ourselves, as long as we're living to whatever ethos we hold high for our own self, the impact is in God's hands. All right, go ahead, Chidi.
I read a book, some articles from. Good afternoon, Anne. By the way, sorry, a long time seeing you again. Happy New Year. Okay, what I wanted to talk about has got to do with these authenticity and authentic self. I think it's overrated. Yeah. It's really overrated. Why?
All right.
Having read some article, it's about being yourself and doing what you know that is right. That is not how life is. For some of us, the right thing we've known is doing bad or badly. And being authentic self might be to be doing that bad, something that I've learned from my parents growing up and all that. So we need to redefine authenticity, because it's always talking about being your real self. And, for instance, in organization, people try to stereotype, that is not being authentic. It's authentic being about yourself. Not unknowingly, we talk about authenticity, being authentic self as, doing good thing, right thing. So we need to define it. But if you say people being their real self, it might be their killers, and being killers is just being their real self. So I get cringy anytime I hear authentic self, authenticity of self and all that. So it's something that needs to be redefined. Just my comment on my thinking. Thanks.
Well, in general focus, anything that is said is always said with the assumption that the social norms are respected. So when we talk about authenticity in a social setting, it's typically something that does not disrupt the basic ethics of social well-being, right? So if you're being authentic is disrupting the social ethical structure, then it's not necessarily being authentic. It's being a disturbance, right? So wherever setting you find yourself, it's a culture. There are cultures, there are traditions, there are norms, right, within that setting that are expected to be respected, right? Now, so the big word is expected to be respected. And if you're going to change it, you must have first of all been one who has already been received in that sector. See, those norms can be changed, but only by a few people. Before you can change whatever the ethics is in a particular place, you must be someone that belong to the structure itself. That means you're someone entitled to make changes. You're not just going to be an outsider trying to enforce a different culture to a stabilized culture. That social setting can only change from within, not from without. Because everything without is like an enemy to it, right? So anytime I'm talking about authenticity, it's being yourself and not trying to be what you are not, however, with respect for the social norm. You get. So if your authentic self, but if there's a dress code, you must adhere to the dress code. You are not adhering to the dress code. It's not being authentic. It's being unruly. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you.
So when we talk about authentic self, there's always the assumption of law and order, right? Being authentic self that goes against law and order is not being authentic. It's being unruly. Yeah. So there's that assumption that goes with it. Though obviously you see people will always want to abuse it. But when you talk about authenticity, there's always the assumption of law and order, right? But we'll talk a bit more about that as we go along. But it is important to be authentic because people will see through the smoke, right? If you try to be someone else, people will see through the smoke. I mean, you can deceive people maybe one time, but after a while, people will see through the smoke because your every relationship will be tested, right? Maybe your first time you communicated easily. The second time, maybe you forgot your notes and you didn't have those notes that were structured to keep. If you've always been someone else, it will be exposed because you'll not be collected to do it without the notes, right? The accidents happen. It's just a part of life. So you're being tried to someone else might work maybe for a month, 2 months. Then maybe one day you forgot your notes. It rained. They changed where they do the meeting. Something changed, where you cannot do all your normal structured thing. Then who you are will show at that point in time. That's a big deal about just being yourself. Because also you can only build who you are. You cannot build who you are not, right? You can only get better as who you are, not who you are not. See, that's why a lot of people want to start from first floor rather than starting from the ground floor or even starting by digging a hole for the foundation. You see, until you accept who you are, you cannot get better. For as long as you're running away from who you are never going to grow, right? So being your authentic self is accepting who you are as a person, your weaknesses and your strength, and then deciding how to mitigate your weaknesses and extend your strength to make your dream and your desires come true, right? But until you meet who you are, you don't know what to work on. I mean, that's the real idea about being authentic. It's being able to meet yourself and then begin to build and develop yourself. All right, let me go on. Slide 6. Anne, any question from you? Anne, was there any question on that?
No question. I just feel that you got to be authentic because, I mean, like you said, people will see right through you. And it matters because wherever you go, they can say this is who Anne is, and this is who Uncle Akin is, and this is who Chidi is. People can, because you're authentic, but when you fake it in every place, people are going to they will know that, oh, she's not like, she was like this, she was like that. But like Chidi also said that people use that word amount, that's who I am. No. And I think it takes, when you're in Christ, people in the world, they say, oh, that's who I am, whatever. But if you're in Christ, there's some things that you're going to be authentic about. I mean, your life is supposed to be authentic, but there are things that you that are not perfect, right? And you have to change. So Absolutely. You need God to work in you to change those things that are some of your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
But those in the world, they say, oh, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But no, if you're in Christ, you're supposed to be changing by the power of the Holy Spirit every day to be more like Christ, but also making sure that you're authentic to who you are. So you cannot Absolutely. Say I'm a Christian and then tomorrow and you go to club, right? You cannot say you cannot say I love Jesus, but you don't love your neighbor. So So you have to be authentic in that way, in that you have to be true to who you are, but also true. Also, what's the word I'm trying to? Also be ready for the Holy Spirit to also work in you to be a better person, to be a better version of who Christ, to be a better version of who God wants you to be to the world and to those around you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to add to that is none of us is perfect, right? All of us are getting better by the day. So if we hold so solidly to an idol, saying this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am, I mean, you're not going to be the better for it, right? Yes, this is who I am, but I want to be the highest, the fullest, the greatest version of all God has created me to be, right? And, for us to get more, we have to be more. If we don't change, we cannot be more. If you're holding on to your past or to your present, then you cannot, your cup, you don't have any empty cup for God to fill, because only the cup that you bring to God that God will fill. And that cup needs to always be emptied, right? To say, this is who I am, but I want more. I want to be better. I want to grow, right? I want to be a vessel that is open so that I can be able to handle the things that are in my future, and that's critical. And that's important. I have changed as a person. I'm not the same person today I was January 1st this year. I'm not going to be the same person by the end of this month. There's so much going on in my life, and I'm just allowing God to do his thing, but it's you have to, because the things are in your future, your present self cannot handle. Your present self cannot handle the things that are in your future. So you need to be willing to become the person that can handle the greatness that's in your future. Because if you don't become the person that can handle it, then it will not come your way. You will not have it. Because it's only the person that can handle it that will have it. So that's important. Yeah. So he talks about the fact that there's a need to be spontaneous. He says if you're going to be authentic and be vulnerable, then the way to handle it is to be ready to be spontaneous. And key word here is the fact that you can only be truly authentic and vulnerable to the extent to which you are prepared. The extent to which you are prepared is the extent to which you can be spontaneous, right? For instance, all this discussion we are having right now is not part of the plan. I didn't plan to have this discussion. But it's easy for us to do all of this and go away from whatever the plan was because of who we are, how much we've prepared. It takes a bit of maturity to be able to handle those questions and talk on these topics, right? But if you're not prepared and you don't know it, going off what you have planned, you become shaky, right? So it's all part of preparation also, making use of every opportunity to be ready for the thing that you're doing. Like I shared so often that, for me, it's every message, everything I do, I try to become. I put into my person, I try to become that thing, right? Because everything we're having right now is preparing me for the next message I'm going to give. Right, I'm going to be teaching tomorrow. Who knows? I'm going to be talking about some of this things we're saying right now. So everything I get to do is all connected, right? Nothing stays away. What I'm going to teach tomorrow will probably help me what I'll teach the next day up to next Sunday, But it's living in the moment and making the best of everything that you get to do, right? So that helps, right? You can only be spontaneous to the extent to which you are matured, prepared, knowledgeable, and skillful in the thing that you're doing. Going straight to here, with what you do, you probably have a phone call that might be different from all other phone calls. It will either take you off balance or not, depending on how much you're building expertise in what you're doing, right?
All the time.
all the time. All the time. And the more of those incidents that you get and you handle it and you go and learn, maybe check one or two things, the better you are. When the next one comes, you are better at handling the next one than the first time it happened, and that's just the way we all need to just have a learning mindset, teachable learning mindset too. to help us grow. And here it's talking about voicing validation, and it says there's a need to have a balance between authenticity and spontaneity. And just saying the same thing I've said all the while, just because if you're not prepared, it could throw you off balance. Also, you need to also be able to carry the audience along. Each time you're ministering, you are getting communication from your audience, right? You cannot preach a message that is divergent from where they are. Say, for instance, there's just been an hurricane in that area, and you came and preached a message and did not mention anything about the hurricane, the pain they are going through. They are not going to listen to you. First of all, they will have the mind that you don't care. That we are talking about hellfire when we are yet, our homes are damaged, we are looking for how to get money. You need to relate with people where they are. Relate with them and let them have a sense of belonging. Because until you relate with them and meet them where they are not going to follow you to wherever you want to take them to. Right? So each time you're communicating, you need to come down to where people are. And once they receive you, then they can follow you to wherever it is. Each time I make a phone call, almost unconsciously, I get to joke with the person, call the person's name, that kind of breaks the ice. It makes whatever comes next easier to communicate than me just making a phone call and going straight to the reason why I call. But we all will have different ways of doing it, but you need to be able to relate to the person where the person is before the person can listen to you and go where you want to take the person to. It's like that Stephen Covey would say, and I think that's the second or the third principle, habits of highly effective people. It says, seek first to understand before you are understood. Seek first to be in the place, the sphere where your listeners are, and be accepted there before you want them now to understand you. And you take them to wherever it is that you want to take them to. Right? And I'm not sure why I left the same heading. Oh, here. Is it the same thing? Right, I guess. So it's just the same thing we're talking about. Just the same fact of being able to carry them along wherever they are, meet them where they are, to take them to where you need to take them to, And when you have the mic, there's a lot of things you can do. You need to be their voice, and it pains me sometimes, where people in churches and probably another place abuse the fact that they hold the mic and use the opportunity to beat people, and all of that. When you hold that mic, you're holding on behalf of everybody you're speaking to. And you have to then be the voice of the voiceless, right? And people have to be able to see you as seeing them before they can listen to what you have to say, right? All right. So here it tilts your mirror. What it was just trying to emphasize is if you have a difficult message to pass to someone, being skillful at saying things that might be difficult to receive, maybe things that might be people don't like to hear, it might be a bad news, might be a reprimand. Just thinking about using Nathan as an example, Prophet Nathan going to tell David that he has committed adultery. He didn't go straight to telling him. He had to give a story, right? A story as if he was talking about another person altogether. And David pronounced judgment on that person, not knowing he was pronouncing judgment on himself. So there are different ways of being able to address difficult messages that you pass. You always, when you are communicating, you must be sensitive to the people you are trying to communicate to. Because communication is not just making an announcement, right? It's about wanting that whatever it is that you want to say gets to the person you want to say to, right, in such a way that they will receive it and do the things you want them to do as a result of the communication, right? That is your objective. If they are not able to do that thing, then you have not communicated. You have just made an announcement, right? Because what you want to do is get them to do something. You must then ensure that the way you say it will bring that to pass. And like we said, one of it is associating with them where they are, feel what they feel. Then you are able to take them to where you want to take them to after they have accepted you, as it were. And lastly, here, just talking about, and I have something printed on top of one of the others. Right? Yeah. Just speaking freely, it's just the fact, it's just trying to emphasize the fact that we should just say the message, the way it is, in an authentic manner. Really, is another word to still bring here. Don't preach like who you are not. If you're a black man, just say the way, just be you in passing the message. Don't try to be who you are not. And that's the whole summary here. Is don't try to be who you are not. Just preach it, say it the way you are, because you're talking to fellow human beings like you, not robots. All right, that's the last slide. Any question? Then we'll see how much of the workbook questions we can handle before we call it a day. Any question before we go into the questions? And any question for me?
No question.
No question. All right. Chidi, any question?
Not necessarily, talking about being your authentic self, being your real self, looking at the slide they put up, don't be too young or too old on this stuff. The most important thing in holding the mic is ability to communicate. I don't necessarily need to speak like an American or speak
Absolutely.
like a woman or this. It's just for me to pass on the issue. What most people want, especially when they are in some certain country. Let me take, for instance, North America. They tend to try to speak like them because people say that they have accent. For goodness sake, everybody has accent. Okay.
Absolutely.
If an Igbo man speaks among the Yorubas, he will discern easily that he's an Igbo man or, not
Absolutely.
of the same tribe. So I've been in a situation, when somebody say, "Oh, you have an accent," I say, "Oh, you too." I smile and say, "You too." And the person have reason. I was like, "Oh, I never knew I had accent." I was like, okay, yeah, you think you don't because you said the exam and judge for yourself. So you should allow that to set and judge for you. So we just need to be real. The most important thing is pass the message and be real about the message, and also seek for feedback to be sure that people got your message. I think it was a great read, and believing that not dropping the mic will help us communicate freely, transfer knowledge, also learn. Because that you're holding the mic doesn't necessarily mean you should not pass it to others to speak as well. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks. Appreciate that. Good one. Well, let's run through. Go ahead.
That's what you're saying. It's like you should not be too old to learn and not be too young to learn. And I think that's one of the things about some of us Nigerians is like, when you learn, do something else. Why don't you do IT? Why don't you do, some people, you just want to stay stuck to what what you're doing, but never it's not that mentality that you never be too old to learn. I have friends who are 10 years younger than me, 20 years younger than me, because I love to learn. I like to see how they do things. I will ask if I come into your house and you change something, because I have a photogenic memory. I know that there's something change in that house. So I will ask. I always ask questions. So like she said, never be too old to learn. Never be too young to learn. And also, if someone tells you that, you speak, you have an accent, that just means that I speak a different language.
Absolutely.
So that's key to it. It's okay. It's okay. Absolutely. Just that I speak a different language. If I have an accent, means I speak a different language, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
So, and that's true. So my takeaway from this is that let's not be too old to learn. Let's never be too young to learn. Learn to be better. Learn to be better. Every day is an opportunity for us to learn to be better.
Absolutely. I'm an engineer, right? But right now I'm a farmer. I do own a good acreage of farm. and I'm planning to even buy more. So see, I'm not just staying as an engineer. I'm a farmer. I'm not just a farmer. I'm also going to be processing some things. We just finished just did our first batch of gari that we just processed here. And there's a whole lot more to do. So I'm learning. Send you. All right. Yeah. So yeah, we'll look for avenue to send there. I'm coming to buy a farm in Texas. So I am planning to come buy a farm in Texas. Going to buy one in Botswana.
That'll be awesome. Come to Texas. Yeah. Chidi is in Texas, I think, right?
What's that?
Is Chidi in Texas?
No, he's in Florida.
I was in Florida. I just came back to Lagos, but I'll go back later. So, but I'm back in Lagos at the moment. So, but when I'm in the US, is in Florida. That's where I will stay.
He's in Florida. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I am planning to buy a farm in Texas. Yeah. But it's just that's you get better. It's where the opportunity is, and whatever it is that you've chosen for yourself, you have to get better at doing it. And that's where life is. That's where growth is. That's where the money is. Money is not in being stagnant, right? I'm going to retire in 5 years' time. So all I'm doing here is planning my retirement, right? Once I'm done retiring, I'm not going to be going back to Chidi looking for work. I'm going to be done. I'm going to close that part of my life. And I'm going to be doing teaching, ministry, farming, just having fun. So I'm already planning for 5 years' time when I close the door with Chevron. But yeah, and that's what they say. Maturity is all about taking responsibility for your life, and not blaming someone else. You can't blame the government, you can't blame the weather. You make the best of what you have today to plan for your present and your future. So yeah, so that's very critical. Yeah, thanks for sharing. What are some of the memorable hot mic moments that caught your attention in the past? I mean, have you ever had a time to communicate in where the mic was hot, in terms of it wasn't easy communication, and you get to face that every day? Is there any one that is not proprietary?
All the I have to talk to because what I deal with kids with disability, which I've never taken care of before. I've always taken care of adults. Yeah. So switching to taking care of kids with disability with Medicaid is a very different thing for me. I've never had to do that before. So talking to the parents, they're okay. So the parents are very I would say, because they are dealing with a lot, right? They have kids with a child with disability and have to take care of the child. And with COVID, it has really not helped. So I have to put myself in their place all the time, in that, sometimes some of them are angry. When you call them, they're already angry, because they are dealing with a lot. So it's for me to just to compose myself, and even though they cannot see me, is to know that I am smiling. Smiling whereas I'm talking to them. They can hear it in my voice, right?
Yeah.
So just I think that's the learning thing for me right now is I smile naturally a lot, but it's to now bring that into my voice in the way that I speak to them over the phone. So and that's been I mean some of them are very, you can tell, because I spoke to somebody who was angry at the first time, and we had to talk through WebEx, and she was like, okay, she was already upset. Oh, I don't know, I just kind of breathe. I just said, and within me, just breathe in and breathe out. So we got talking, and then I was asking her about her child, and doing an assessment on the child, and she said, okay, and she's like, oh yeah, she was meanwhile she's already upset, right? She's like, oh yeah, she likes green color. I said, oh, you know what, that's my favorite color too. I just broke the ice right there, and from there I just started, like, when she said, oh, I love to do that. I have 2 boys, so with that, it's like she just was able to talk to me for the next 2 hours. Initially, she was upset. She didn't want to talk to me. But just putting myself in her shoe that she probably is having a bad day, and just trying to break the ice and in a way that would work for both of us, so that we can communicate, because that's what I was calling. communicate with her, information from her. So I think that that's not my most moment right now.
Yeah. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. And a lot of women, and I had someone give that example also in the workplace, trying to get an appointment with another lady, which was just, but once they found out that they're both mothers, and they started talking about their challenges, it was easier for them to be able to even fix time to meet, even fix time to even have both families, help each other in a way that they were able to have the business meeting they were planning to, and that's the power of that third habit of highly effective people. Seek first to understand, then be understood. Come understand the world of the person you're talking to, and let the person understand that you are just like him or her, and you can feel what the person is feeling. And once the person can associate with you, it's easier for the person then to move with you or go with you to wherever you want him or her to go to. Chidi, anything you want to say in that way before we move on?
Nothing to
add to that. All right.
Okay.
The other things we've spoken about already, authenticity. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So we're just talking about doing an exercise, doing something spontaneous by calling somebody, and this is important. I've been doing a lot of practice in being spontaneous, like for instance, making a decision to even buy the farmland that I did was a bit of spontaneity, when you do things like that, it doesn't mean that everything will be perfect, right? You're probably gonna miss some things. Like the first 6 acres of land that I bought, the person that sold it to me raked me off, made a huge sum of money from me, right? But once I bought that, I became a part of the community, and I was able to find out what was raked off of me, and I saved it in the other 90% that I bought, But because you're being spontaneous doesn't mean everything will be perfect. The imperfection you meet is your classroom. You learn from the imperfections to become a better person, right? The first time you call will not be perfect, but you learn from the imperfection and you become better and better and better at whatever it is that you're doing. But if you don't take that first step, you'll never learn. If I did not buy those first 6, I would not have a farm today, right? Because everything has its own ways. Everything has its own disadvantages. If I sit down long enough, think about it, I'll probably be looking more at the disadvantages than the advantages that probably won't be there, right? I've lost some money, but I'm on a good trajectory, to make back everything, So life is not perfect. I guess that's what bedevils us a lot of time. We're expecting everything to be perfect, all the boxes to be checked, But the important thing is that it's a good deal and it's something that will take you to the next level of your life. And you learn, you grow by it, right? If I'm going to buy another farmland like the other ones I'm talking about, I'm going to be using the lessons I've learned from this one in doing that. But you see, I would never be good at doing those ones if I don't have the experience I have today, right? I came into this, I have no clue. But today I can teach people about what it is because I've been in it, I'm in it, right? So that's what comes with spontaneity. But also you don't want to do something that will risk your life. Never risk more than you can truly risk. All right, Chidi, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think we need to have a separate one on the farming and all that because I've had interest more than 10 years ago. I never executed it. So I need a kick. So, I've been trying to get your attention.
Right. No problem. Let's do that. And anything to add on spontaneity?
Oh, no, it's okay. When you get the farm in Texas, I'll manage it.
All right, that's a deal. That's a deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, spontaneity, you're right. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday. You have to prepare. And then when the opportunity comes, it's, and that's one thing, is like you have to prepare. You cannot just say, okay, this is going to happen. Like for me, I'm a nurse, but this is something entirely. This is a service coordinator. This is a case manager. Even though it's, yes, I did nursing, but I never did pediatrics, right? Yeah. So even now, I'm thinking about my next move. I'm thinking about, okay, you know what? When these people, if they make me mad, I would leave. So I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking about different. I'm thinking about, okay, clinical data management. I'm thinking about clinical research associate, because they need medical people, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking about different things, and that's what, and it's true what you say. If I don't prepare, like I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a course. I'll be reading about it a little by little, so that if you don't prepare, when the opportunity comes, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be able to, you won't know what is out there, right? If I never applied for this, I wouldn't know what is out there. And I see it like learn experience, because Excel, I've never used Excel, right? But now it's like, okay, I need to use Excel. I'm like, oh my God, but it's an opportunity for me. It's a learning experience. And I can use it towards something else. But God will also bring you in a place where you can learn, and you need to take that first step.
Absolutely. There's greatness in each of our future, but that greatness, God prepares it for us by the learnings is making us do today, right? So, but if you don't learn, that opportunity will come, but you'll not be able to tap into it. Now, you're able to working on Excel now, you're using it for this, you're learning a lot of things. The next opportunity you're going to go to, it might be Excel that they need to make a difference, to enter into it, But then you have then gone beyond the elementary level, because you're using it now. You're able to then use it for bigger things, I designed my house. The first house I built, I designed it, right? That experience, and this is more than 20 years ago now, right? That experience is helping me now. My whole farm, the whole poultry I'm doing, I'm building a poultry, I'm building hostels, right? I have hostels, I'm building fence, poultry. I am the architect, I'm the structural engineer, I'm the civil engineer. I'm doing everything myself, right? I'm only able to do that because of the experience I have, right? It be that even the first house I built, there was something that I didn't like about it. I sold it, but I learned from the experience, right? And that's why I'm able to do all that I do today, right? So life is all about learning. Every opportunity is an opportunity to learn. And what you learn, then you can use it and become better, So we should never miss that opportunity to learn, to grow, because God will not give us a blessing that is bigger than us. He will always make us big, then bring the blessing, because He will not give you a blessing you cannot handle, right? It will never be the reason for your downfall, right? So He needs to prepare you before He brings the opportunity your way. But if you're not ready, He will not give it to you, So that's important. Chidi, anything to add to that?
Thank you, sir. Good.
Good. All right. Great. So this is the last one here. And he's just talking about that. Do you relish or abhor opportunities to demonstrate tough love? For me, I don't relish it right now. Well, I don't know. It's a dual thing for me. And maybe part of it is also part of growth for me. I don't like conflict. Really, if I could avoid conflict, I would avoid conflict. But years ago, I made up my mind never to run away from one. Right? I'm not going to be the one to start a conflict, but I chose never to run away from one, because any one that I run away from, I'm only going to face it. God will not grow me past the conflict I did not face, because every conflict, God has a purpose and a reason for that conflict. And unless I'm able to handle it well, it will not take me to the next level stage of my life. There are things for me to learn, my ability to control my emotions, ability to control, ability for me to grow, right? When you find families where husband and wife are fighting, beating themselves, it's lack of self-control now. when there were opportunities to learn self-control, the person did not use it. So now you have wife, you are beating your wife, or wife is beating her husband. It's because they did not use the opportunity to learn self-control. Right. So as much as I don't like conflict, I'm getting used to it because I don't run away from one either. I'm known as a strong-willed person. I'm the one that's good to say things that other people would not say, because that's just the way I built my life. I learned from Papa Again to be authentic. That's where I learned authenticity from Papa Again, right? Not to live a double life, right? I'm not going to try to pretend to be what I'm not. It's got me into a lot of trouble. 25 years at my job, I've fought with everybody because everybody wants to make me something other than what I am. But they've all seen in 25 years, I've not changed, right? They have left and fallen by the side, but I'm still me. And I'm happy about that, because that's why I am who I am. That's why I have the strength before my confidence before God. That comes from all of that, Anything anybody wants to add? Chidi, anything you want to add to that?
Nothing from me.
Right. And go ahead. You said something, Chidi.
No, I said I'm just listening.
Listening, all right. And anything you want to add to that?
Oh, no, nothing.
So number 2, what are some practical ways to respect others, even when you need to deliver bad news? And any example, you have to deliver bad news to someone and still respect the person?
Oh, well, I mean, I deliver bad news at the hospital sometimes, but it's kind of tough, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, when you have to give them that news that their loved ones is not doing well. But some we make the doctors go do it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But sometimes, when a patient passes away, you still have to make that phone call, right?
Phone call, yeah.
It's really hard, It's really it's hard. You have to be empathetic.
Absolutely.
As nurse, I'm not sympathetic. I don't sympathize, but I'm empathetic. So
absolutely,
you have to really be very empathetic and respectful.
That's key word. Because you have to see yourself. You have to walk a mile in their shoes. Right. And ask yourself, how would you want someone else to say that to you or communicate that to you, and do the same? So that's important. And that's part of what they call emotional intelligence, right? It's all about walking a mile in other people's shoes, right? If you were in their same shoe, how would you want things to be done to you? And go do the same. That's simply what emotional intelligence is all about. I got to learn it. My own tough question is not made. Let me first of all give this example. I mean, when I first got to Benin, University, I used to be part of the hospital visitation, right? We go and organize service for them on Sundays. Then after, we go and visit them in the wards, pray with them and all of that. I enjoy doing it because I get to go and preach. I read Word of Faith. Can I take in monthly magazine and go and preach the same message on Sundays? But there was a particular boy that was sick, and we're just praying and hoping that he'll get well. When he died, I was just wondering if I was of any use. This is in the hospital. So I couldn't pray for the guy to be well. So that's how I stopped. So, but today, like I said, I'm able to develop that tough skin, because that's what life is all about. If you're gonna make it in life, you have to develop tough skin. But in tough skin, you also have to be empathetic, right? Because it's a skill, which is what Chidi was alluding to earlier when we talked about authenticity. I mean, authenticity is not just being myself; it's being myself within the rules, the law, right, in a ruly way, right, whereby there's still harmony in the team and in the society, So as much as I get to take tough decisions and do tough things, I still do with an empathetic mind, with walking a mile in other people's shoe, as a leader, right? Where people can know that I respect them and I respect them, I love them, and I'm doing this in their own interest, even though they might not understand it at this point in time. Yeah. Anything to add to that? Chidi, anything you want to add to that?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed the time. The communication, the ideas that spring from both sides. So it's no longer about my own single-sided story, but also looking at it from a 360-degree point from Anne, what's the name of the other guys, Toba, and so on. Also, we've been kind of office mate before, glean some wisdom from you and all that. Especially, remember what you told me, that children never changes. I mean, they never change, but the parents do. So, and that idea, I really use it in a lot of ways to propagate some kind of discourse and all that. And it really was a great one. So, yeah, it will be good when we hit into Cleopatra's riches. Hopefully, maybe I can order the book from the US and get it.
Yeah. So, and we're thinking that this will be the next book we'll get to read. Talk a bit about finance. You're able to get it from Amazon now. And
sorry. Okay, Cleopatra's Riches. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'm thinking that'll be the next book. We should be done with this one by next month. So we'll go into this. Talk a bit about finance.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I love money. Money is one of my best topics to talk about.
Yes, I have to drag my husband to this one.
Yes. Tell him he needs to come, because we have to build that family wealth together.
I've told him.
All righty. All right. Thanks. So let me release you. I'll let you go. We'll talk later. All right. God bless. Thanks for coming.
Enjoy your time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Will do. Thanks.